One.
What's up, guys? Welcome back to the 6th episode of the Backyard Quarterbacks podcast. I'm Tyler Russ. We got Adam Clifton in the Jag gear and Ryan Hartle in the Florida State gear. Guys, what's going on? How was your weekend?
Pretty good for me. I got the retro Jaguar shirt. This might be 20 years old. Shout out to a old lady friend, ex-girlfriend that got it for me. I know you're watching, so thank you. Pretty good weekend for me. Not a lot of football, so guys, you might we're going to talk about some other stuff. You know, don't want to make like a 10-minute episode just talking about Florida State, UMass, baseball wise. So I know, you know, a lot of Braves fans in Jacksonville, and you know, growing up, almost everyone was a Braves fan. Really good series. Loved watching that. They're going for the World Series first time since '99. Is that correct?
99. Yeah.
So long time coming. Bobby Cox was probably the manager back then, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Sure.
So I'm sure a lot of our listeners fit our demographic and they remember him. But that was a good series. It was fun to see them clinch it. One thing I thought was funny that when I was watching this, I don't know if I mentioned it or not, and I'm hesitant to say this. We don't want to be political. We're not that type of show. You won't really hear much of this, but they moved the game the All-Star game out of Atlanta for political reasons. I'm not going to go into why or whether I agree with it or whatever, but it's just stupid in my opinion. And now you got Atlanta and Texas, is where they're going. So
right, yeah.
I don't know if it was satire, but I saw something today on social media. Atlanta Braves put out something kind of like reassuring their fans. And I think they were kind of playing with it, saying, rest assured, we owe it to our fans, our players, our community, the families, the city of Atlanta. We will be playing the games in Atlanta. To all of our Colorado fans, we love you. Sorry, there will not be any World Series games in Colorado this year. So I thought that was kind of funny. But
and it said, it finished it by saying, chop on this.
Yeah, chop on this. So maybe that was real, but that was pretty funny. We got a good buddy of ours, friend of the show, Jared Simmons, worked for the Braves for I think maybe like 7 years. Then COVID happened, so I was talking with him a little bit about it, and he's going to try to go. So hopefully, if he goes, we might get some pictures we can add to the site for any Braves fans. I'm sure we have some. But other than that, chill weekend. Watched obviously Florida State, and not a whole bunch of just watched a bunch of games, but didn't pay attention to anything in particular. But what about you guys? Hartle, what about you?
Yeah, I actually went to the UMass game. Took my son and then a buddy's son and his nephew. So it was me and 3 kids. His 4th grade, 2nd grader, and a 1st grader. But I mean, it was fun. Just kind of, it wasn't too packed. The weather was beautiful. I think it was like 77 degrees.
Yeah.
It was just a great game to go to with kids.
Perfect game to do it too. Also,
kids have fun.
Yeah, we did. Went a little early. Got some free parking, from some old school days of knowing how to get in there sooner than later and get free parking. We brought the football. We walked around, played in a couple football games, just like messing around and having them have a good time. And then we actually tried to get in, and this lady was being really just like, no footballs. And I was like, okay. So we left and went into another exit and just walked right in with a football. Like, I guess Tennessee game done carry it over to Florida State or something, Probably we're going to throw it at Norvell or UMass coach. I mean, overall, nobody was there. It was lots and lots of empty seats, which you would expect. For sure. The UMass game. Do y'all just want me to dive into it?
Real quick. So obviously UMass. So what I take away from that, UMass doesn't travel well. Probably why they got dominated. But speaking of bringing the footballs in, worried if you're going to throw it at Norvell, I did share the picture, I think, in the group. It was like a picture from the Tennessee game. The kid had like a football, a golf ball, holding it up like this, and you can see the caption was, "Should I?" So I thought that was kind of funny. Obviously, that the ball almost nailed
funny as long as he had no intention of throwing it.
Yeah.
Is that funny if he actually was trying to throw a golf ball at somebody?
Yeah, but
But good joke.
Yeah.
Right. Before we go on to the game, what about you, Tyler? Anything fun or exciting over the weekend?
Yeah, we went down to Disney since the Gators had a bye week. Felt like a good week for a vacation. So I went down to Disney and stayed in the cabins. We love the cabins on the campsite out there. So it's a real fun time. Kids love to go. And we hit 3 of the parks. We missed one, which is the one where they have the new Star Wars over Hollywood Studios. So avoided that crowd. I got to ride all the others, but nothing really exciting happened. Just it rained on us a little bit. So nothing crazy. We try to use it more as like a relaxed weekend, actual real vacation instead of the hustling around trying to hit everything in Disney and stressing everybody out. So it was fun. Didn't have too much football to watch. So that are the games that we tried to catch a couple. Obviously, Tennessee, Alabama's a fun game. And then obviously we had the Braves games. So that was nice that we get back and watch the Braves games. And I hate these 8:00 games, man. I want to stay up and watch them, but it's like, 11 o'clock
West
or
Coast.
whatever. I'm like, how, man, I want to go to sleep.
Yeah. Happy 10-year anniversary.
Yes. Thank you.
Yeah.
10-year anniversary.
Happy anniversary, guys.
Yeah.
Mainly, thank you, Jessica, for putting up with our best friend for 10 years. We've done it for much longer, so we know how it is, but we didn't have to live with them and sleep in the same bed and everything, obviously marriage. So no, but that's great for you guys. That's a big milestone, and
thank you.
Good for you guys. Want to hop into the football?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right, Hartle, you were there. You had the point of view, the bird's eye view. You already kind of set the environment about it. How else was everything else? What'd you see, like specifically football wise? What'd you like, didn't like?
Yeah, well, we started off with a fumble on the kickoff return. So it was UMass's ball right away. Was able to keep him out of the end zone. So it was a quick 3-0.
45-yarder.
Yeah, I think I text y'all joking around or just like, man, I wish I took the UMass plus 35.5 point spread or whatever. Because I mean, I if you told me, I would probably they probably get a couple touchdowns or something, which they end up not. But he can't take too much from here. I mean, it's nice to kind of win a game like you're supposed to win it, I guess you could say. It's funny because I think a couple weeks ago you had Tyler, just like the most unimpressive 48-0 game I've ever seen in my life. I'm just thinking in my head, like, man, that must be nice,
Give us one of those, like this asshole. It's like, we 48-0, but Georgia beat him by like 62. I'm like, dude, how does it feel, man? Like, we can switch.
But definitely,
y'all have been there before.
It's I mean, we're a one-dimensional team. I mean, we just run the ball. I think Travis had 5 completions. I think we had 5 completions that were like 35 to 50 yards a piece. So it's kind of like, basically, if a team comes in like Clemson next week and they can just shut down our run and make us throw it, it's probably gonna get ugly. Which I'm trying to obviously still be positive too. Because the run game is great, but there's ways of stopping it. Hoping Travis maybe with his legs and stuff. I'm sorry, I'm going ahead and like not even talking about the UMass game, but it was fun. Just blowout win. Kind of had our way with it. Passing, running, defense, had a pick 6. So it was kind of nice to see just all around great game. Kids loved it. They thought we were beating Alabama or something like that, but they were having a good time watching us just dominate. But other than that, I didn't see anything that's gonna, we're gonna go undefeated the rest of the year or anything like that.
Yeah, I was walking into Epcot when I got the text to say that what was the fumble on the kickoff. And your comment about the taking the spread. So then I was like, well, I mean, I gotta click in and just see. So luckily with today's technology, you pull the game up on your phone and you're watching it on your phone while walking around at Disney, standing in line and stuff. So, I'm watching it, but then it was pretty quickly, y'all turned that around. And so I was like, okay, well, this isn't going to be a game, and turned it off. But
Yeah, and I think a lot of people were also concerned of why didn't Mackenzie Milton get in, and it was kind of publicized today that he actually
Mm-hmm.
went up to Norvell and said, "Hey, let's get the young guys some playing time."
Yeah.
Just it just shows the type of leader he is. I mean, people are just definitely praising him for that. But
Yeah, but that also sounds like a guy who's like understands that his time's kind of behind him now.
yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
don't think that's a
I
guy
agree.
who's still trying to make it somewhere.
I think we just go back to thinking like when we were talking about him, like, man, I just don't think he's the same guy after that leg
Yeah,
injury, and just actually think about him himself, like knowing like nobody needs to tell him. Like, I
yeah,
don't think he's the same guy after his injury. Like him just absolutely knowing his body now, what he's
mhm.
limited to. Um, but still was the hell of a comeback game there in Notre Dame. But just obviously a great guy to have on your team in the direction we want to go. I'm glad he's part of that locker room right now.
Yeah, definitely. I agree. I read that. I don't remember if it was yesterday or today, but it definitely came out one of the two. And, he mentioned that, and just like, man, there's a guy that like worked so hard, busted his ass to get to where he was, to do what he did in that Notre Dame game. And then he's just like almost come to grips and at peace with like, all right, man, like I'm not getting drafted. Like I already did a miracle by just walking and playing football again. So it was like really good to see him do that and tell Norvell that. Hartle, you kind of touched on it. Jordan Travis, 5 for 10, 123 yards, no touchdowns, no interceptions, but 9 rushes for 78 yards and a
Yeah,
touchdown.
huge.
You mentioned, you mentioned we ran the ball at will. Jashawn Corbin, 11 rushes, 127 yards, a touchdown. That was his fourth 100-yard game of the season.
Wow.
As a total, we ran for 365 total yards. But as I was watching and looking up the stats afterhand, I was looking to Clemson next week, and I had the same thought that you did. Like, Clemson's a legitimate team. They're not amazing, but they're not UMass by any means.
Mhm.
So, if Dabo's watching game tape or he's just look at the stats, they stack 8 in the box. I mean, we might be screwed.
Mhm.
You don't want to like jump ahead too, like you said, too far. But yeah, and then Chuba Purdy got in 5 for 5, 98 yards, 2 touchdowns. So it was good to see him get in
Mhm.
as well. We scored on the first 8 of 10 drives for 38 points in the first half. And so this is a crazy stat. We've talked about how we've been pretty subpar since the national championship the year after that. This is the first time we won 3 games in a row since the end of the 2017 season.
Oh.
So, yeah. Also, first team in ACC history since ACC inception, which is 69 years, to start off 0-4 and then win our next 3. So 2 ways to look at that. No team has been that bad, or no team has been that bad and then faced, 3 bad opponents. Although North Carolina was, a
Yeah.
good team.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
but I was thinking when I was watching the game, because we talked about it. I mentioned the spread in the group like the night before, and Hartle joked, yeah, I'm taking. So the spread it closed at FSU was favored by 35.5. The over under was 59. Hartle made the joke, yeah, I'm taking UMass in the points. I have a friend who bets a lot of games and has some success. He took UMass. I don't think anyone saw the game going the way it did as far as that dominant, just based on how bad we were. But the first few minutes, like Hartle said, we fumble the kickoff. They hit a 45-yarder. I'm like, no, this can't happen. This can't happen. This can't happen. They don't score again the whole game. So we go 59 unanswered. Florida State covered and hit the over by themselves.
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. I mean, it's I take it right now as in just like, going into the second part of the season, I didn't think the North Carolina game was a give me, I was actually kind of shocked by that win. And
Yeah.
then,
So were
going in,
they.
right. And
So
then,
was North Carolina.
they actually just got this top offensive lineman recruit. I just saw North Carolina did. He's from North Carolina. I don't know what city or anything like that, but
Right.
just shout out to recruiting somehow there. But anyways,
Yeah. Well, we can probably all imagine what the girls at North Carolina look like. Aren't they? You know, they're famous for having like amazing volleyball and soccer teams and probably basketball as well. So
yeah, and they'd rather go there than
good for him.
Be around Duke lacrosse.
Which, by the way, they were vindicated. Duke lacrosse
were.
After us. We're not implicating anyone. Yeah.
I'm sure Duke has a hell of a lot of jokes and stabs they can throw our way.
For sure. Yeah. Tyler, did you get a chance to watch any of the game? I know you were out and about. Or did you watch any highlights? Anything you heard or read or anything? Any input whatsoever?
No, I didn't get a chance to watch that game. So
yeah,
I watched. Like I said, I watched the beginning, just because it sounded like things might not go your way.
Yeah.
So I had to tune in a little bit. But once I started watching, it was total dominance, and I'm like, this game's not going to be.
I'm not watching this.
Yeah.
I'm not walking around dizzy holding my phone, not being with my family because I'm watching the Florida State UMass.
Come on, UMass, come on. Hit him, not breaks Jordan Travis's kneecap open.
No, like I said, I'm not even rooting against Florida State anymore.
Yeah,
I want Florida State to be good and people listen to the podcast.
Yeah.
But but I mean, if it's going to be a close game, especially against the UMass, I mean, it's something I got to see. But when I realized that it looked like it was on its way to a blowout pretty quickly,
it was.
Then I was like, okay, I mean, I can't justify, tuning into this one anymore.
And like kind of like Hartle said, like you start off shitty, 0-4. You can't dwell on that. Obviously, we talked about Norvell, recruiting, all this stuff. Really, all you can do is play the next game and prepare for the game in front of you. So you can make an argument since those 4 losses, which that first one could have went either way. A few of them could have went either way.
Yeah, right.
He's won every other game, and there's not much more you can do than to. Granted, they're an awful team. There's not much more you can do than to beat a team 59-3, especially when you're pulling out your starter and like putting backups in. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So, the other thing I did
do what they did what they were supposed to do.
Yeah, you did your job. You did exactly what was expected. I don't know if you guys clicked on it or not, but I did share, and I forget their names. On Twitter, someone like. One of our 4-star recruits that wasn't committed yet tweeted out like the lock with like Florida State, and then another 4-star recruit who was already coming commented like hard eyes. Did you see that, Hartle? Do you know who that was?
Yeah, it was a 4-star defensive back that was an LSU commit.
Yep. Yeah. He's like Ed Oregon's gone, I'm gone.
I think like even those 4 games we talked about, those losses, like you make them competitive, like against Clemson and Miami and even Florida, sprinkle a couple wins in there, and I think, I mean, recruiting's already on fire somehow. We have had a couple decommits here and there, but it's not our I guess the top 2 would be Travis Hunter and AJ Duffy, quarterback from IMG. But the class is still, going in a positive movement. And here we are, 3-4, which nobody thought we would even get to after a 0-4 start. And it's kind of vice versa with Florida. We're talking about going to the national championship game, still can make it after the Alabama loss, and y'all about to have the same record we have.
Yeah.
I know. Yeah.
Obviously
sure.
Different schedule, but still.
Right.
I get it.
Nice to have UMass on the schedule, I'm sure.
Yeah.
We got another one that's going to be a little patsy for us too. So but this is they talked to Dan Mullen talked in the press conference about how this is our second number 1 team we've been playing this year, or will be playing this year. So
it's
it's a big one.
That's crazy. Speaking of Hartle, and did y'all see Miami actually beat a ranked team over the weekend? NC State. Did y'all see that?
Yeah. Just actually had a few comments with a buddy of mine, and he was just like, expect this Miami loss and the coach being fired afterwards. And then here they are, winning, and the coach isn't fired.
Yeah, I think if I'm not mistaken, NC State was ranked like 15 or something. So I texted y'all like when it was down to 2 minutes, and then it could still go either way. And the NC State just ran out of time. But I'm glad for that. Like, I don't want to face a team in Miami that, is awful and fire their head coach. And, they got Tyler Russ on the sideline coaching, you know what I mean? So
yeah,
it was good to see them win just because knowing we're going to play them later down the road. So we want to play a competent team. Don't want to get our ass beat by any means, but yeah. So Florida State did what they had to do. They murdered UMass. UMass, the record doesn't show up, but they're probably actually a really good team. Moral of the whole story that we've been talking about from me and Hartle's perspective, Florida State is back. Yes, and I know we joked about it last week about winning too, and we brought up a couple movie references. How the hell did we win two? And then Major League, Tyler, you brought that up about the 2-game win streak. But yeah, we're back. So we'll hop into what's to look forward. We got Jaguars at Seahawks. They're away, obviously, because Florida Georgia is taking over Duval County.
That's right. That's what we do.
Currently,
in my old age, my second favorite event in Jacksonville. TPC is 1, Florida Georgia is 2. When I was younger, it was flipped, but I'm not going to the game this year. I went the year before last. Growing up, we would go, all of us, we'd go every year. We did the gamut of going down. But so Jags at Seahawks. Seahawks minus 3.5. So they're getting 3.5. It's basically an even line because home field advantage. They're playing actually right now. Do either of y'all have on your phone or your computer? 10-10?
Fourth quarter.
Yeah. So don't be surprised when Jameis pulls it out and beats them. But any thoughts on that game?
Yeah, I mean, it can go either way, in my opinion. Just it's going to be a good experience for Trevor because they get loud there. I mean, it's sold out right now. 12th man. So
Russell Wilson, he's out.
He is out for like another 5 weeks or so. So you got Geno Smith at quarterback. They're starting running back Chris Carson. Smith. He's out. So they have Alex Collins and Rashad Penny running the rock. DK Metcalf, he can probably catch it and run over all our players like freaking Derrick Henry. But Tyler Lockett, I mean, I can see it kind of being a high scoring game. I think we can win it, but I'm not putting it all out there like Tyler did for the London game. They were going to win it.
Yeah.
I only did that. I did that just because of I just feel like we play better in London. But yeah,
you're right.
Yeah, but there's no way I'm not calling that this week. So.
Right.
They got a couple stars on defense, Jamal Adams, and then Bobby Wagner. But everybody else is pretty kind of like, some games they play good and majority they play bad. They're one of the worst defenses. But they got a couple stars that can completely change a game sometimes, and they could definitely do that against us. So,
yeah. Plus they have a legendary head coach, might be Hall of Fame, college and pro.
Mm-hmm.
The only 90-year-old coach who looks like he's 60. Pete Carroll.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
he does look good.
How old is he?
I'm joking. He's not 90. But he's way older than he looks, and he's on the side. He's on the sideline every game, just chewing that gum. That must be how he looks so young. He's burning 1,000 calories an hour.
Constantly working his face muscles.
And he don't need Botox because he's strengthening all his muscles from chewing gum the whole game.
Just turned 70 last month.
Wow.
Yeah, he looks like he's 55.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, coached USC to national championship. 03 was it the last
Couple of
year
them.
or 04?
Yeah, I think he had a couple
04,
there. Yeah.
04, and then
Reggie
they went
Bush.
05.
Yeah, he
Yeah.
was there with Reggie Bush and Matt Leinart.
Yeah.
Hardo, I agree with you. I can see that game going either way. I mean, the line shows it's a toss-up, but I think at the very least, it's going to be good experience, like you mentioned, for Trevor, going into a huge stadium, a huge football city, also a stadium that's been accused in the past of
Cheating, right?
Putting sound in, pumping sound in.
putting sound in through the speakers. Well, who knows?
Right.
But yeah, I think it'll be a good experience for him. Weather up there is probably going to be a little inclement. I'm just assuming the Pacific Northwest and, late October is probably not going to be good. It's going to be a lot different than Jacksonville at the very least. And so, yeah, we'll see.
Yep.
Tyler, what do you think?
Go
I
Jags.
don't have. I haven't watched any. I don't know anything about Seattle this season, so I feel like we're still progressing, game to game. So I'm excited to see what we bring this week after traveling to London and coming back on a bye week. Like that's where I get a little worried. How are we going to come out of that bye week for it? So and then we don't do very good going over to the West Coast. So that's another thing that I'm just not really feeling too confident on. I mean, that's us as a program wise. We just have not historically done very good going over to the West Coast. So
yeah, I think we went to San Francisco with our baller ass team. And I knew we were going there and just whoop their butts. And I think we ended up losing like 40-33 or 44-33. But yeah. I mean, from what I recall, same thing. West Coast. We don't travel good, I guess, other than London.
At least Urban Meyer can't, stop off at a bar. Well, we hope can't stop off at a bar somewhere and get himself in trouble. Urban out of London without any trouble following him yet. So
yeah. Also, Urban, we know you're a fan of the show. We know you tuned in week 1 and ever since. Just fly there with the team, coach us to a W, fly home.
Right back. Yeah.
We still support you. Yes, we still support you after the stuff that's happened, after everything's that came to light. Just do the right thing. So yeah. Yep. All right, so let's move on to our final topic. We have kind of a big game. UGA at Florida. At Florida really doesn't mean anything because the game's in Jacksonville. In my experience in the past, it's usually like 50-50. No fan base is outnumbering the other by any substantial amount. That game's going to be Saturday, 3:30. Georgia. I think I was kind of surprised to see this. I didn't look it up until right before the show. They're only favored by 14. So they've rolled the entire season. They've done what they're supposed to do. Their defense just seems like it's lights out. Tyler, I'll let you give first thoughts on it. Obviously, you have a vested interest in this. You've probably read the most about it. What do you think? What are you hoping? What do you think you should be worried about?
Well, worried about that defensive front for Georgia. They're stout. So looking at the stats, so I went to look to see so many of their games have kind of blowouts. You don't really watch their games too closely when it's a blowout. You find the better game.
Right, but Vandy doesn't count.
Going in, yeah. But even so Kentucky. I mean, you watch that game closely until they finally pull away. But looking at their stats, nothing really jumps off the page in terms of like, oh wow, these crazy stats. Offensive passing, there looks like they average about 237.4 a game. Good, but not crazy. Rushing is probably their best, like 193.1 per game.
That's
but
pretty good.
When you look at the rushing average, it's a 4.9 average. So good, but again, not like wow, this is a super stout running game. But where they seem to be very good is they don't make a lot of mistakes. So they've only got 2 fumble recoveries and 8 interceptions. Again, good, but not just this turnover machine defense. but they only have 7
So
turnovers
they're just
themselves.
stopping offenses.
They're
They're not
they're
doing anything flashy. They're just stopping offenses.
They're lining up and they're saying we're better than you, and they're just not letting you run the ball. And then I guess, just not getting not allowing the other team to pass too much either, but they're not getting turnovers. So that's where it's interesting to me is because Dan Mullen's been very good at getting, so far this season, even getting guys the ball and putting us in position to where we can move down the field and score. Our biggest issue, though, is turnovers, and we've got we're -7 on the turnover margin for the year. We've got 12 INTs. We've only lost 1 fumble, so we're good about not putting the ball on the ground. But we throw a lot of interceptions, and it doesn't matter if it's Emery in there throwing interceptions or if it's Richardson in there, we're throwing interceptions. So that's where, to me, the key of the game. Florida can't turn the ball over, and if they're going to beat Georgia, but we haven't seen a game yet where Florida has just decided to not turn the ball over. So that, to me, is going to be really where it comes down to. If we're going to have a chance, is can turn the ball over. If we don't turn the ball over, I feel like we got a good chance to stay in the game. And hopefully, who knows, if you stay in the game, you never know how the end of that, especially Florida, Georgia, how that game's going to go. We can't start slow. That's another problem we have. We start slow against this team, they'll just run the ball, and you just not let it get in our hands, and so they'll keep the ball away from us that way. So we can't start slow and let them get up a couple touchdowns before we start scoring. We have to start right from the beginning, scoring, and try to keep Georgia off the field as much as possible. I feel like they've scored a lot of points, and then going over the numbers, it must just be a situation where they just get a lot of opportunities because their defense gets off the field quickly and gets the ball over to the offense's hands.
Yeah. The differential is probably huge on the amount they've scored versus given up. I don't know the exact stat, but just based on what I've seen. Harder, what do you think? Any predictions?
Yeah, I mean, it just sounds like they stay fresh on defense. They're not out there for a long period of time.
Yeah, they're deep too. On defense.
Definitely. I mean, like, obviously we're all from Jacksonville. We've all been down there, and it's just those times where I just felt so confident that Georgia was just going to completely control the game, and it just never happens. So I do have that thought of just Mullen comes in, just the best game plan. Maybe AR takes off. Have we figured out who's going to start the game?
He's not going to give that away.
Okay.
In fact, on his press conference, he actually said, by the way, because people try to give him a hard time about picking a quarterback and you're going to go with. And he said, by the way, who's Georgia? Has Georgia named starter for their quarterback this week? And they haven't. So he's like, look, they're the number 1 team in the nation. They haven't picked their starting quarterback. I think it's a bigger deal than us. So he's good at deflecting that. He's very good. I was actually thinking, I was watching his press conference. It's like, what, football doesn't, if he finishes football, 10 years or whatever, maybe he should go into politics, because he's very good at pushing off the questions that he doesn't want to answer, and then kind of directing it into the way what he does want to talk about. So they haven't picked it yet. He said that they've kind of been more 50-50 on the splits. Yeah, but he's not giving that away.
Yeah, because I mean, I can see something where AR comes in or starts the game and they start off hot, and then some mistakes might start happening, and then Emery comes in and he brings this energy that propels them to win, or vice versa, who knows. But I definitely just feel like there is that chance for Florida to win. It's not out of question. It just never is with this game. And we talked about Florida State. Typically, when one of the teams is just much more dominant than the other, it's never a close game. And you just never can say that with this game for some reason.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, and then what team's going to show up? Is it the team that took Alabama to lost by 2 points to Alabama? And honestly, that game, if Florida has 5 more minutes, maybe they win that game, because the way it was looking, it was all Florida's momentum. We just ran out of time.
Yeah. So
who shows up?
Yeah. And I don't know if you guys clicked it or not. I did share. There was an article that I shared about, because we've talked about this I feel like every episode almost, Emory versus, AR-15 and who's going to be the starter, who's the long-term. And then I think we kind of all agreed after last week, you lose to LSU, who's a subpar team. Season's basically over, and over for big programs like Florida and Florida State means you can't win the national championship.
Right.
A lot of teams, it's different, right? But you kind of said, all right, we don't want him to transfer, don't want him to go into the transfer portal. He's got to either get majority of the playing time or starting. The article that I shared, Tyler, it said basically the same thing that you kind of said. Mullen did not reveal his hand, which I do like. It's like, in baseball, don't reveal the starter until as long as you can. But in football, that is like so much more exaggerated because, all right, we know this guy plays like this guy plays like that. Who are we game planning for?
Yeah.
So that does help to not reveal it. Plus, I also think there's a part of him where he's like, they're both pretty even. Like, he might not know, you know what I mean? He might have a great idea, but I think there's still, like you mentioned, regardless of who starts, I don't think it matters who starts. I think they're both going to play equal time unless one of them just gets a super hot hand. And like you guys mentioned, until one of them messes up, then you bring the other guy in. He's fresh. He's, his confidence isn't shot. So that will be interesting. Just want to touch on this briefly. Like we did mention, as far as him, Mullen being on the hot seat, didn't think that was like really an option. Thought it might hurt recruits if you guys continue to lose.
Yeah.
I in that same article, so I guess the AD or someone at Florida like has Mullen's back. He was the same guy that was with him at the previous college at Mississippi State. Yeah, so he's not going anywhere. I don't think after what I've read.
Not likely.
If you guys lose, no one's like, man, this was a game we should have won. So I don't think anything like that's going to happen. But like Carroll said, I think it's going to be a close game. Hopefully, I mean, I don't want to see a blowout either way. Obviously, I want the best game possible. Tyler, I know you want a blowout, but for Florida State fans,
I'd love a blowout. They'd look great.
Yeah, agreed.
Blowout, Gator win. Yeah.
If you're able to run the ball, and I don't care if that's AR taking off because he's pressured or whatever, you're going to have a chance. But if you're not able to run the ball and they're getting out 4 and outs quickly, I mean, it's all she wrote. I mean, you might get a couple home runs, but
I don't think
that's where it can get ugly.
I don't think it'll be a situation either where we run the ball like we're just lining up and running it down their throat like that. Their defense is front so stout. So it's going to be more of how do we get the ball to the running back's hands in open space so that they can, because you've got
screen.
Do a screen or quick pitch out or something like that. But we got to get the ball into the running back's hands, but it's not going to be lining up, running it right down the middle. I don't think. Yeah. But we got to use the run some regard to set up the passing plays too. So there will be some of those, but I think they'll just be running into.
But it's not like special teams can swing the game in your favor.
Yeah, and that's where we're not really stout either. Like that's where we really struggle. I mean, we've had block kicks. We've had a few block kicks this year. Guys just missing extra points. One of the reasons why we probably lost Bama didn't go to overtimes because we missed an extra point. Yeah, that wasn't even blocked. I don't believe. But we did have a blocked field goal against Kentucky. So it's not like we're not doing anything to make anything too exciting on special teams ourselves, and then we're also having stuff go against us. So that's really going to hurt us if we can't at least be solid on special teams. I don't see us doing anything special on special teams, but if we can't be solid, keep them from having any big plays.
Ironic, no special on special teams.
Which for me is the most confusing thing was when Urban was here, and Dan Mullen underneath him, he understood like how important special teams could be at turning momentum, flipping the momentum. And so Urban put a lot of emphasis on special teams, and our special teams were fantastic under him. And then Muschamp came in and it was like nobody wanted to coach special teams. And then McElwain, the same thing. And I thought with Dan Mullen, having his time under Urban Meyer for so long, because he was with Urban Meyer back at Utah. I don't know if he was with Urban Meyer back in the Bowling Green days, but you would think that he would understand the importance of special teams and make sure that we're that, a dominant special teams team, but we haven't been.
Yeah, I mean, it's just I feel like it's part of the game changing too. Just if you have a junior that's probably going to leave a high draft pick, you're not throwing them out in the special teams anymore. Maybe they get injured or something like that. I think you've seen a lot more younger people, which I mean, they've done that in the past too.
Yeah, but it
But
used
when
to
your
be
younger
like,
guys are 5-star,
yeah, you start them on, yeah, like Percy Harvin starts,
yeah,
as a kick returner, just is
Mhm.
amazing. Like, you don't want him returning kicks when he's a junior. Like, it's different now.
Percy, what's funny is Percy was back there, but he was not. He wasn't our main, because we had Brandon James. He wasn't our main kick return guy. When he got to the NFL, man, he was incredible
returning
as a
it,
kick
but
returner.
yeah, between
So,
that and
which, I mean, it's not
migraines,
surprising. His skill set seemed to be perfect for that, but he wasn't who we used when he was at Florida. He was back there, but he hardly ever. I think he was more used as a blocker.
Yeah,
he's so strong.
All right, so Tyler, I'm going to force you to do it. What's your prediction? So I told you, they're favored by 14. What do you think?
Favored by 4. So I, as much as I want to, I'm going to have to go away from my heart and use my head and say that I haven't seen anything from Florida this year that tells me they're going to do the things they need to do, which is not turn the ball over and be strong with special teams. And I think Georgia's gonna take this one. If I got to give a score, I'll say that we'll get a few scores in there, and we'll go maybe 30-21, Georgia. Georgia scored a lot in the 30s this season.
Okay.
So I'm going with 30 for
yeah.
Georgia. I think
You
we'll
probably take that right now, right? Just in case, so it won't get
Hell
ugly.
yeah. Florida covers. Yeah.
Yeah.
Ever doing a prediction?
But I did want to
Adam?
highlight, since we got the we're a Jacksonville based show, Seahawks facing. Sorry, we had a face on for Florida a few years ago. So Seahawks facing is going to be inducted to the Florida Georgia Hall of Fame. Seahawks facing was a Jacksonville boy, came out of Jacksonville. He played at Fletcher High School and played at Mayport for middle school, where I actually got to play against him. So I got my claim to fame, which is pretty pathetic. I was on kickoff when I was in middle school. It was my 7th grade year. He was in 8th grade. And they kicked the ball off to him, and he ran past everybody. And I was one of the last lines of defense. And he came straight at me. It was me and Seahawks facing, 7th grade me. And Seahawks facing was actually old for 8th grade. So he was already a grown man in 8th grade. And me and him, and I got to somehow try to stop him. And I got a hand on his thigh pad as he ran and blew right past me. And that's my claim to fame right there with Seahawks facing, is that he did run me over at least.
You have not watched that hand since.
I haven't watched it since. I just thank God he didn't just go, I'm just going to run this kid right over, because that's exactly what he would have done. Nobody was stopping him that day. He continued to run all over our defense, and we were a good team in 8th grade when I was in 7th grade. But
well, that's cool. So yeah, he's getting that. I mean, that's a big deal. I'd assume. Yeah, obviously he's a Florida great. So
yeah,
and a hometown great as well. So yeah, that's pretty cool.
Yep. Exciting to see him get recognized.
Yeah. As far as predictions, hard on me, you kind of mentioned it. I don't think I'm going to bet the game. Tyler, don't take this offensively, but if I was betting, I think Georgia covers this. I just nothing, like he said, like nothing points to Florida being able to cover that. I don't see it. Maybe like if they put the backups in like 4th quarter and Florida gets a couple late scores, maybe. I just don't see it happening.
Yeah. Well, and that's the hard thing about these spreads and stuff, is that a game can go one way, and then right there at the end, just a team desperate to try to score, make some desperate plays, throw some picks, and they return for a touchdown or something like that. I mean, it can swing it either way, but yeah, I mean, it's I'm not surprised by that pick.
Yeah, I mean, that Kentucky score with Georgia is basically like what I see with Florida. it might be something like the UMass game where Georgia fumbles off the kickoff and Florida gets it, and you're getting excited. You're like, hell yeah, this is it. This is the start of something great. But I think they'll probably pull away. Defense. I mean, I don't have it in front of me, but what's the most points scored on them this year? Does anybody even know?
It can't be over. It can't be over 20s. Like
Clemson, did they beat Clemson 10-3 or 10-0?
Yeah, it was 10-3.
10-3. So then you got Kentucky scored 13 on them. I mean, who else would they played that would have even scored on them? Vanderbilt they shut out.
It's a 3:30 game. Here it is. 7-0. Georgia schedule. 3-7, 13, 0-0, 10, 13. South Carolina scored 13 on them.
Okay.
And Kentucky scored 13. So those are your two double digits. Auburn scored 10 on them. Clemson 3. So yeah, I mean, I think you scored 21. You're looking good there.
right.
But yeah, I think they'll, the first time ever, because I mean, if you think about it, since we've been alive, Florida's won this game 90% or not more in the last 30 years, right? I mean, like it's gotten ridiculous.
Yeah, in the 90s and then the early 2000s, but since Urban, it started being a lot more back and forth. So Georgia's won a lot more recently because we were closing in fast on that.
Yeah.
That big lead that they had. But then Georgia started. I mean, because I think so Kirby, I don't think had lost to Florida until last year.
Yeah. And they probably beat y'all when y'all went 4-8.
Yeah, they beat us that year.
Hartle, obviously, you're in Tallahassee for anyone that doesn't know or forgot. Tyler, any fun plans for the game? What you guys got?
Well, we're still trying to figure that out. Probably not going down to the Florida, Georgia. I'm going to wait till the kids get a little bit older. And then, I'd love to take my son to a game. He's 8 years old, but I don't think we'll take him down this year. So, but maybe next year we can try to get him down.
How
just
old?
To experience that.
Well, how old does he need to be to go through RV City?
30. I mean, shit.
Yeah, I don't know. He's very perceptive, so he really catches on to stuff. I don't know if it's a good idea to bring him down there.
I mean, shit. We'd go in college, and I wasn't ready for that experience in college. You walk through RV City. I mean, you see some like trucks with like out of the tow hitch a platform with a stripper pole attached. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And granted, we didn't stop there. We just looked and moved along. Like I've said before, this is a family show, but you see some stuff out there. You know what I mean?
Just remember being on random RVs. Like we don't even know these people. And
we're
sitting on an RV and you got the Maker's Mark? Sure, we'll drink some of that. Like,
yeah, but they're like, you can't use our toilet. There's a lock on it. There's always a lock on the porta potties.
Yeah. Well, that's smart though.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. Luckily for them, because I would have blew some of them up.
Right. Yeah. If not you, somebody would have.
Right.
Yeah. I'm not going down. I went like I said the year before last, I think, and just a buddy had a ticket and was pretty good. But yeah, I'm not going out. I'm just probably gonna go out to my brother's out in St. Johns County. He's a Georgia fan, so he's having people over. Tyler, you and your family, I told you already, y'all are welcome if you don't have anything else to do. But gonna be pretty low key. Just hoping for a good game. Also hoping he has more than one TV on. They got obviously the main TV down in the living room, but Florida State plays at 3:30 as well. So I want to make sure I'm watching that. So I might be hidden, or I don't know. We'll figure it out.
It might be the better game.
You're right.
It could be. I mean, you're playing Florida State playing Clemson. It could be a good game.
Yeah. Two shitty teams versus two really good teams. One with not a great record, but obviously the number one team in the country. So
yeah,
man.
We got anything else? Any like past family friendly or like maybe PG-13 or maybe PG-15 like related Florida Georgia stories we can share? Or
I'll give my one. This was the 08 season. So after 07 is when No Sean went off, and Georgia pretty much returned all the major players from that 07 team to 08. So they went into that season really pumped up. I think they came into the game they were undefeated. Florida came in that game with a 1 loss to Ole Miss. And so Georgia was obviously favored, and Georgia fans, man, they were out and they were confident and they were talking trash. And the good thing about the Florida Georgia is that there's trash talk, but it's usually pretty timid, pretty mild and in fun. So it doesn't get anything too nasty. And that's what it was that day. But we didn't go into the game. We were in that tailgaters area where it's kind of the covered, and they had a TV up. And so it was obviously 08. It was the Tebow year. It was the year after he won the Heisman. And
the year of our Lord.
And so it was the constant chants of F Tim Tebow every 5 seconds, or F the Gators. And just, constant every 5 seconds. It seems like they just start up another one.
Yeah.
And then finally the game started. And then right there, beginning of the game, you had that, I think maybe a pitch out or something, No Sean Moreno. And Brandon Spikes just comes in and lays out No Sean Moreno, gets in his face, is just, chirping right in his face like that. Like, not today, not this game. And that just kind of set the tone. Georgia fans didn't really say anything after that. And I want to say by the second quarter, all those fans, it was just all Georgia fans and just a few Gator fans over in that area. And probably by the second quarter, they just kind of all decided to go party somewhere else. And that was a fun game just to watch us dominate, total domination of that game, especially after the year before, which was rough.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a pretty peaceful game. I mean, because you think about it, if it's like a Florida State Miami or even a Florida Miami game, like it's probably gonna be a few fist fights. There's a few,
Arnold, we gotta save our Florida State Miami game for Florida State Miami week. We got a good one for y'all.
We'll do that.
You should tune in.
Yeah, definitely.
But yeah, they can get pretty nasty. Now, I mean, you've got the history of there's what kids, I don't know if they got beat to death or what, but they got beat up pretty bad. So there are those that happen, but for the most part, like 90% of it is just people out there having fun, having a good time, chirping at the other team's fans. So it's pretty mild.
Yeah.
But
agree.
Fun time.
I think probably this doesn't involve us, so it's not incriminating. Obviously, I'm not going to use any names. But it's a friend of all of ours, and I'll share it when we get done recording. One of the funniest stories I think ever happened is I don't even know if y'all were there, but I go down with some friends down to RV City, tailgating all day. We all end up making it back home, and one of our mutual friends was unable to make it back, couldn't get a ride, couldn't get a taxi, couldn't get a Uber, like anything. So this was several years ago. This might have been pre-Uber. And kid just walked across the Matthews Bridge over to Arlington.
Oh my goodness.
I'm like, dude, you're tempting death,
I couldn't
bro.
do that.
Yeah, that's crazy, man.
No, yeah, I would sleep under the Matthews Bridge.
I would have found something, to sleep at or just post up at or
one of the RVs. Can I just sleep under your RV? Like I don't need.
Do you mind if I sit in this chair?
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, that's funny.
Agree. Yep. All right.
I feel like I have an idea who that is, but
that's it for me. Good. Go Noles, beat Clemson.
Go Noles, beat Clemson. Tyler, you say it because I don't want to say it.
Go Gators. Let's pull off the miracle and beat Georgia.
Nice.
And go Jags and let's beat Seattle.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
2-game win streak.
That's right.
Yeah, go Jags, go Trevor.
First team to ever go 0-20 to go 20-0. All right, guys. Okay.
All right, Tyler, sign us off.
All right, guys. Thanks for watching the 6th episode of the Backyard Quarterbacks podcast. Don't forget to comment, like, subscribe, hit the bell to allow all notifications so you can see every time that we have a podcast pop up. And be looking out for our channel for any time we have another video we put out there, guys. Thanks for watching. Have a good day. Love you guys.
Love you guys.
Peace. Love you.